Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, we are going to dive right into a crash course today that will completely demystify the 8 parts of speech. Look, I want you to think of grammar not as this, set of super rigid rules, but more like a toolbox. Once you understand exactly how each tool functions, you've basically got total control over everything you say and write. So today, we're going to make these parts of speech your most accessible, powerful tools.
And to do this, we're pulling all our definitions and some really colorful examples directly from our source material for today, English Grammar for the Utterly Confused by Dr. Lori Rozakis. It is a fantastic guide. It completely strips away all that boring jargon and just hands us the practical building blocks we actually need to build a rock-solid grammar toolbox.
So, here's how we're breaking it down today. First, foundations. Second, details. Third, glue. Fourth, we'll look at interjections and shapeshifters. And finally, number 5, a quick recap quiz to lock it all in.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Foundations. We're talking nouns, pronouns, and verbs.
The absolute most basic building block of our language is the noun. Think of it as the ultimate namer. It basically puts a label on everything around us. Without nouns, we literally wouldn't have any subjects to talk about or objects to interact with. They're the people, the places, the things that make up our entire universe.
Now, nouns can be simple, single words, right? Like girl or city. But they can also function as a combined unit, which is pretty cool. Take spaghetti and meatballs, or bacon and eggs. Even though you're looking at multiple words there, our source text makes a great point. Together, they name one single delicious thing. Moving right along to our next foundational tool, we've got pronouns. You can think of pronouns as the stand-ins, or like the stunt doubles for nouns. We use them so our sentences don't sound incredibly clunky and repetitive. I mean, just imagine having to say someone's actual name every single time you talked about them in a story. It would be exhausting.
So the really crucial thing to remember here is that a pronoun gets its meaning entirely from the noun it replaces. Let's look at this. Although Seattle is damp, it is my favorite city. The pronoun it steps right in for the word Seattle. In Grammarland, that original noun, Seattle, is called the antecedent. The pronoun is always pointing right back to its antecedent.
Okay, but to give our sentences actual life, we absolutely need verbs. You could have a giant pile of nouns and pronouns, but without a verb, literally nothing is happening. Verbs are the engines. They drive the action, or they describe a state of existence. And keep this golden rule from our source in mind. Every single complete sentence has to have a verb, no exceptions.
But here's the catch. Actions aren't just physical movements. Sure, we've got visible actions like jump, kiss, or laugh. But verbs also cover mental exercises, things you can't even see happening like think, learn, or study. And sometimes they don't show action at all. They just show a state of being. Words like am, is, and are.
All right, that brings us to Section 2, Details. Let's talk adjectives and adverbs.
If nouns and verbs are the foundation, adjectives are the decorators. They exist strictly to add specific characteristics to our nouns and pronouns. Whenever you want to paint a much clearer picture in your listener's mind, you're going to reach for an adjective.
And the absolute easiest way to spot an adjective is just to ask yourself a few questions. Ask what kind, and you get a red nose or a gold ring. Ask how much, and you find more sugar or little effort. Ask how many, and you get words like several or 6. Adjectives essentially take a plain generic noun and make it super specific.
Adverbs, on the other hand, are pretty much the ultimate multitaskers. See, while adjectives really only have one job, modifying nouns, adverbs can actually describe 3 completely different things. They can describe actions, they can describe adjectives, or they can even describe other adverbs. Talk about doing it all.
Just like with adjectives, you can usually hunt down an adverb by asking questions. How did they sing? Happily. When did they leave? Yesterday. Where did they fall? Below. To what extent did they eat? Completely. So, if a word answers how, when, where, or to what extent an action happened, boom, you've found your adverb.
Moving right along to Section 3, Glue. This is all about conjunctions and prepositions.
So, conjunctions are what show us how words, phrases, or whole clauses are actually related to one another. And honestly, this brings up the best memory trick in the book, the fanboys mnemonic. If you can just remember fanboys, you're never going to forget these 7 coordinating conjunctions in the English language. For,
and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. They are literally the ultimate linking tools.
Then we have prepositions. They're another type of glue, but they serve a slightly different purpose. These are usually really small words that tell us about relationships, most often having to do with time and space. Think of phrases like near the house, over the moon, or under the desk. Those little words, near, over, under, those are your prepositions setting up that spatial relationship.
Okay, Section 4, Interjections and Shapeshifters. Let's look at emotion and flexibility.
Interjections are wild because they aren't actually grammatically linked to the rest of the sentence at all. They literally just jump right in there to express strong emotion, and they're almost always followed by an exclamation mark. Like our source humorously points out, "Wow, that's not a gorilla suit." The word wow just stands entirely alone as an interjection of pure shock.
Now this is where grammar gets really fun. English is an incredibly flexible language, which means a word's part of speech can completely change depending entirely on its context. Take the word fish. In the sentence, I ate a fish, fish is a noun. It's a thing on a plate. But in the sentence, we fish in the lake, it transforms into a verb. It's an action. Basically, the tool changes based on exactly how you swing it. And finally, Section 5, the recap quiz. Time to test yourself. All right, here is your question. Listen to this sentence. The outside of the boat needs scraping. Is the word outside functioning as a noun, an adjective, an adverb, or a preposition in this specific context? Go ahead and take a quick mental guess right now.
Okay, if you guessed noun, you absolutely nailed it. It's a noun here because it's naming a specific thing, the exterior of the boat. But wait, notice our shapeshifter rule at play. If we rewrite that exact same sentence to say, scrape the boat without outside help, the word outside suddenly transforms into an adjective, all because now it's describing the noun help.
We're going to leave you with this final, really provocative thought adapted from our source text. Look, mastering these 8 simple tools, nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, conjunctions, prepositions, and interjections, it isn't just about memorizing rules for some test. It is really about gaining total command over how you express yourself. So the question is, how will you use your grammar toolbox to shape your world today?
And yes, if anyone wants to see the complete PDF of English grammar, then subscribe to our channel and join membership so that the entire PDF can reach you, which is only for membership, 59 rupees. If you are still connected to this video, then I am giving you a special information that the link of the complete PDF of English grammar is also in the description, which is only for you. So if you liked this video, then like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel.